The MonsterVerse is now unquestionably the biggest science fiction live-action movie franchise besides Marvel and DC. I mean, with the most recent huge commercial success of Godzilla Kong The New Empire, there is not a single soul on this planet who can deny or argue with that for a fact. The franchise is now a full-fledged, interconnected cinematic universe, which has managed to expand itself into all different forms of media. The MonsterVerse now has 5 big theatrical movies, a Netflix-exclusive animated miniseries, a live-action miniseries, a comic book graphic novel, and now most recently, the franchise also has a next-generation PS5 game under its belt. Last month, PlayStation released a trailer for a game called Kong Survival Instinct on its official YouTube channel, which, to be honest, was one of the most disappointing things I have ever witnessed in my life. I mean, imagine finally getting a MonsterVerse game, but instead of playing as any of the actual Titans, you play as a lame human with a very mediocre storyline. And remember, this game comes fresh off the release of this absolute masterpiece called Skull Island: The Rise of Kong. It still amazes me how they thought it was okay to make a King Kong game and scale the entire world so that he's smaller than everything. It's ridiculous to think how the makers of this game thought that making Kong smaller than these cute little crabs and birds would go unnoticed. But at least in this game, you get to play Mini Kong, which is what makes Kong Survival Instinct so much more disappointing. This game is officially set within Legendary Studios' MonsterVerse, which is a franchise that is loved by millions of fans across the globe due to its main protagonists, these larger-than-life oversized majestic titans and kaijus, and for some stupid reason, the makers of the game felt that it would be a wise decision to make you play as a random guy jumping around like Super Mario. Now hear me out, this game could actually turn out to be quite decent with an amazing storyline. But the fact is, I do not care even at the very least. I am sorry, but I just do not care. Kong Survival Instinct is basically just a supernatural disaster survivor game where you get to play as a random human being. I would much rather play Ark Survival, which in my opinion is one of the best open-world survival games at the moment. So, in short, the new Kong game, which was being advertised as this next-gen triple APS-5 game, is basically a two-dimensional world game where you play not as Kong, but as a Super Mario wannabe. I just fail to understand why it is so hard for developers to come up with an actual open-world Godzilla game where you get to play as an actual larger-than-life Titan and fight other monsters and kaijus and unleash destruction. It is just ridiculous to think that the MonsterVerse, the most successful IP under WB and Legendary Pictures, somehow can't find a way to make a good game. It's just sad to think that we are now going to get GTA 6 before getting a proper big-budget kaiju game. Just imagine a real MonsterVerse game where you can play as the Big G, Kong, King Ghidorah, or even Titan Shimo, and you get to travel across the gorgeous Hollow Earth and fight different cool and super powerful kaijus, and you can also come out of the Hollow Earth whenever you want and explore the surface world as well. As a matter of fact, we have had a few Godzilla and Kong games over the years, some of which were quite decent, to be very honest. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla Save the Earth, and the 2014 PS4 game are some of the most notable ones. I personally feel that Godzilla Save the Earth is unquestionably the greatest Godzilla game to ever be made. The action, destruction, sounds, animations, etc. were top-notch and much ahead of its time. It had a lot of variety in attacks, moves, and abilities for each monster, which made it a really, really fun game. It was exactly the Godzilla game fans were waiting for back then. Talking about Kong games, on the other hand, I'm sure many of you would remember the 2005 game based on Peter Jackson's King Kong movie, which also released the same year. King Kong is undoubtedly one of the most underrated games in history, which deserves way more love and appreciation than it gets. This game was a massive part of my childhood. The mechanics this game had back then were simply mind-blowing at the time, and the different playstyles mixed with the voice acting and setting brought everything together perfectly. However, these games are way too old, and most of them are not even compatible with current gaming devices and consoles. However, if you are really dying and itching to play as Godzilla, there is one game that is quite decent, given the limited choices that we have at the moment. This game is called Gigabash, which is basically a monster brawler game where you get to play as different kaijus and fight one another. Gigabash is actually a great game hampered by poor marketing and kind of lacking in content. To be honest, this feels like Smash Bros. If it was for kaiju monsters, instead of video game characters. You can play as iconic kaijus like Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Destroya, as well as Ultraman. As I said, this game in no way is perfect. Neither it is the game that we MonsterVerse fans have been aspiring for, but it at least gives us something to quest our thirst for the moment. But the fact still remains that even in 2024, we do not have a proper open-world Godzilla, or Kong game, which are two of the biggest, most marketable fictional characters at the moment. I mean, it is criminal for the gaming industry to give a character like Sonic such an awesome open-world next-generation game while ignoring the Big G and Kong at the same time. So that is all I had to share in this video. If you enjoyed watching, please do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.